Welcome. This is the Gearvana Podcast. I'm Mike. This is Dewald. This is Mark. And we welcome you and we hope you're going to enjoy what we've got for you this week. How you boys doing?
Doing good. Doing good. It's been a week.
Yes. It has been a week.
Great week so far. So far, so good.
So far, so good. But I mean, it's actually a public holiday that we're recording this. We're recording this on the 27th of April to go out on the 2nd of May. It's a little bit in advance. We wouldn't usually work on a public holiday, but we decided it's important. You guys need to know about gear, right?
Yes.
Indeed.
Indeed. Well, first things first, let's thank our illustrious sponsors, Rode Microphones. Thank you for all the cool kit. We got the PSA 1 Plus boom arms. We got the PSA 1 arm. We got a Procaster mic. We got a couple of pod mics, which are awesome dynamic mics for things like podcasts. It's called a pod mic. And we got the Rodecaster Pro.
And what's actually very cool, Mike said last week that these actually need a pop filter, but then when I was editing this episode or the previous episode, like I didn't notice any audible like pops that were like it was so. And I mean, shout out to Rode. This piece of equipment over here. What is this called?
Rodecaster Pro.
But yeah, there's no name on this side. So yeah, the Rodecaster Pro. I mean, all the audio that you heard from the previous episode went straight into this and was summed already to a stereo track, and that I just pulled into the Premiere. Voila, and it sounded.
It's
great.
Fantastic. I mean, it's definitely the industry standard in live podcasting, and we're going to start doing live episodes in future. You know, we just got to tighten up and
yeah, just make sure we don't offend too many people.
Yeah, there's that. But I mean, it's also got little pads where you can assign like sound effects and stuff. So I don't think we've assigned any sound effects, or they could be happening right now on the recording. Please.
I don't know if I'm breaking anything.
I don't know what you're doing there. I guess we'll find out when we listen back. But, I mean, it's got awesome utility, and we're really thankful. Thank you, Rode South Africa, and also thanks to Marshall Music for sponsoring the Guitar of the Week and some of the Gear of the Week items. We really appreciate it because it just means we've got a cool place where we can grab some cool stuff to show you guys. And on that note, of course, I do work for Marshall Music. That's the disclaimer there. He does some contract work for Marshall Music occasionally, but
Mark spends a lot of money at Marshall Music.
He does, sure. He or more than occasionally.
Oh, don't tell his wife.
But the disclaimer here, of course, is this is actually an independent podcast. We're trying to keep it as independent as possible. So that does mean that both Marshall Music and Rode Microphones don't actually hold the opinions that we do. These are our own opinions. We're trying to keep it straight down the line. But of course, you know, Fender, Gibson, all of that.
This is. I'll just also say this on the disclaimer. Everything that I say is definitely my own opinion
and your own fault.
Yeah.
So yeah, guys, with that out the way, I guess let's hit let's give you guys an idea of what's happening on this episode. We're gonna hit the Guitar of the Week and the Gear of the Week first, and then we're gonna go over to hot news and the hot topic of the week. And the thing that you got to wait for, the hot topic of the week, is the ultimate two-car garage. In other words, if you could only have two guitars, what would they be? Which is quite a good question, because then you got to take into account versatility. Maybe you're going to play gigs with it. Maybe you're going to record. Maybe you just love something a lot and you're going to have it against all reason. Who knows? But we'll get there. And maybe we'll hit a gear page topic as well, depending on if we want to hit the low-hanging fruit in the guitar industry this week or not.
I think we should, just for fun.
Okay, we'll see. We'll see how we go. So, Guitar of the Week, sponsored by Marshall Music, and it is. I managed to not smack it into the other guitar. Oh.
Ta-da!
SE Silversky. PRS SE Silversky.
Very cool. Nice.
And that is very pretty.
It is very pretty. And like what I got to say about let me not smack the microphone. The SE Silversky is it doesn't feel like a mid-priced guitar. It really doesn't. Like, you know, holding it in your hand, it's just got this quality feel.
It feels great. I mean, we had the chance to each just grab it a bit just before this recording, and I mean, it feels fantastic. I wasn't expecting that. The neck feels amazing on that.
Yeah, no, that's factory setup, eh? That's a factory.
Yeah, out of the factory, it's not bad, eh?
Doesn't even really set up, and then
feels pretty good. But I mean, like compared to the USA Silversky, it's slightly different. Like your fingerboard radius is a little flatter. It's 8.5 instead of 7.25. So it's a bit more appealing to more people, I think.
Yeah, I wanted to ask: is there a reason for that? That they changed the fretboard? You know,
I think it is to just appeal to more players, because the Fender, like the Fender Strat thing, is 9.5 inch radius. The Strat and Telly thing, that's kind of where modern Fender's at, and that's what I think most people are used to. You know, Gibson's 12, so it's a bit flatter than that. Normal PRS is 10, so it's also in that range. vintage Fender 7.25, and that's actually what John Mayer digs, because if you guys don't know, the Silversky is John Mayer's signature guitar. He likes vintage strats, so they've got a rounder fingerboard, and what that does mean is with low frets, when you go for the big bends, you know, it's maybe going to choke out and just clang or whatever. So, I mean, I've never really had that issue on the normal Silversky. But
and then also, aren't the pickups different compared to the other model?
I'll get to that. So, yeah, but you know, flattening the fingerboard, I think, is just taking it more towards what more people are used to. And then pickup-wise, you're right. They are a little hotter than the stock, you know, American pickups.
Oh, they're hotter. Okay.
They are made for this guitar as well. So, you know,
Which I prefer.
I do.
My biggest issue with the original, or the core model Silversky, was the fact that the pickups to me were too low output.
Yeah,
not that they're low output,
I couldn't get on with them either. It's the lack of mid-range as well. Because, you know, like John Mayer's signature, you know, when he had a Fender signature, the pickups are called Big Dippers, and the reason for that is like the huge mid-range scoop where it's got like no mid-range. I think it's just John Mayer's whole vibe is playing pretty clean or like fairly lightly driven. So, you know, he doesn't need to cut through in a band context. He's got the best sound guys and the best audio systems.
Obviously, his amps also play a role.
You know, he's playing doubles.
So, I mean, he probably makes up for that on the amp side of things.
And he uses Ibanez TS10 and a Clon, you know, which will both give you a bit of a mid bump. But like for me, at least, when I was playing through my stuff at home with the you know, the regular USA Silversky, it's not very present. Like not like I'm used to.
Wow.
You know, I've kind of expected to sit a bit more in, you know, a bit more prominently, where it sort of sits a bit behind because of that mid scoop. So I don't know. It depends on what you like. I don't play that clean. You know, even when I'm playing clean, I'm playing
never really
a little bit driven. So, you know, for me, it didn't really gel with me. But this, you know, slightly hotter, a little bit more mid range in the pickups. I think it just again would appeal to more people, and it appeals more to me. Funny enough, neck profile feels very similar to the US one. Maybe, I mean, I've played a few different ones, and they all feel, I mean, slightly different. A little bit of hand finishing there, but it's very close. It's not like vastly different. I mean, they got all the looks, you know, the plastic tuner buttons, like you know, the whole like Cluson look machine heads, and the, you know, the truss rod cover. I know the early ones, the truss rod cover, and the US one could sort of spin like a top.
And I also dig the fact that it's still like the US model, the jack input and the volume.
It's not quite the same, but it's very, very close. And you got the different tips and the knobs and everything. So it's kind of its own vibe. Also, in the US one, you got a 6-point trim. This is a 2-point trim on this. But still the push-in arm, so, you know, none of the stupid screwing in thing, which is hateful, let's be honest, in 2022. So it's a great guitar, and funny enough, you were actually playing one of these independently at a mate of yours place, and you wanted to talk about this guitar too. So we'll move on to Gear of the Week. It is Gear of the Week is SE Silversky. Oh, look at that, guys. It's not rigged.
No, I must say, this when my mate played me a video that he was doing over his phone, I was really like blown
over
away.
his phone.
Well, he was not. Yeah, well, this was before I went to his place to actually play it, and I thought to myself, goodness, that sounds flipping amazing. If it sounds this great, then my best I get over there and have a look, and went up the road and plugged it in, and at that point he'd already set it up, and it. I mean, I'm just playing this one, which is a factory setting, and it really feels great. I mean, this feels like
it's perfect.
It feels like a high-end guitar. I mean,
I think also
really
what people
is.
got to take into account with the SE range now is they're not really cheap guitars anymore. They've kind of like shifted them a bit up market. So like this is the same price as a Fender Mexican player Strat.
Okay.
So, you know, the same sort of price range, and, you know, you expect a certain kind of quality from a Mexican Strat. If you cast your mind back,
it's not a Squire. It's exactly one up from that.
It says Fender on the headstock. But like when you think of PRS SE, maybe you think about those early ones that were actually cheap guitars. You know, the Korean ones. Some of them weren't. You know, like an SE1 with a single pickup was like a $5,000 guitar kind of thing. It'd say $6,000 guitar. But this has moved it a little bit up market, and that kind of to me also illustrates with. You know, foreign produced guitars, like they can build it to a quality level. You tell them this is the quality level I want, these are the parts I want on this thing, they'll make you that thing. Like, to PRS's credit, their facility at Cort, you know, which is Cort basically, that makes SEs, that factory line is actually dedicated to PRS SEs. So you know, while Cort makes guitars for pretty much everyone,
really,
PRS's operation is actually separate to everyone else's. So I don't know what that means for the quality. I haven't personally been there, but you can check out. They've got on YouTube. I think Jack Higginbotham, the VP, he's got a factory tour of Cortex. That's pretty interesting. But yeah, the quality level of all the SEs definitely far beyond what they used to be. And I think, to me, if it came down to choice, player strat versus this, I'd probably go for this.
100%.
But Player Plus, I'd go for the Player Plus. I don't know if you guys have tried the Player Plus. No. We did some cool videos on the Marshall Music channel last year when they released, for the release. And I've got to say, those are hot guitars, noiseless pickups, locking tuners, rolled fingerboard edges, which is super cool at this price
point.
Split.
Or coil
split.
I mean, you feel this neck feels flipping amazing. And this guitar just feels solid. It's a solid, it doesn't feel like a mid, like what it's supposed to be.
Guitar,
No ways.
I mean, it's not a cheap guitar. It's like a, retail on these is probably 18-ish, but I mean, you'd mostly be able to buy them for somewhere 15, 16, depending on where you go.
Yeah, but I think the opinion of people is the fact that SE models are cheap guitars, but they're really not. They are
not anymore. I mean, so yeah, if you're watching internationally, you're not from South Africa, about $849, I think is what these are, or $749. I don't know. I should probably check. $100. What's $100 between friends with inflation and everything?
And import costs and whatever.
But I do know the dollar about is the same for a SE Silversky and a player strat. But yeah, I mean, I think again we were saying last week, we do live in a pretty golden age for gear. Everything is pretty good right now, even the entry level sort of stuff.
And I must say, the more I look at that guitar, the more I'm digging it. Like,
just feeling like if you get some other guitars that look like this,
bit spiky.
Yeah, the metal on the saddles is normally terrible. I mean,
that's
and
pretty cool.
This is, I mean, for this guitar,
you make a good point there, because I was actually going to change the bridge saddles on my custom shop telly. Yeah, and when I looked at the bridge saddles that I got I realized the screws would stick out quite a bit, and I'm like, nah, because then that whole hand kind of thing,
No, this is like really, I mean, and they're not sharp, and they've really been finished off very nicely. I mean,
yeah, I can't say enough good things about it, because of course I'm a total shill for PRS.
Total.
I'm contractually obligated to say as many good things.
I've been playing PRS since 2002, and
I've only owned 3 PRSs. How many have you had?
Yes, a few.
But like
I still have
11.
I still have my very first PRS. It's the McCarthy Hollow Body one.
Because you're a rich bastard.
No, I actually got it as a 21st birthday gift. So my parents, but anyway,
they're the rich bastards.
Yeah, they were. but since then, I've had a Tremonti. I've had a custom 22. I've had the P22, which was my favorite by far.
It's got the piezo, eh?
Yeah, but I mean, my McCarthy also has the piezo in, but it's like that was the upgraded one, and that thing, I mean, the piezo on that thing was insane.
Chef's kiss.
Yeah, so I mean, we would do gigs and people would try to find the acoustic guitar player on stage, and it's actually from that. So I've owned a few PRSs, and I mean,
I've been I've had about 4 or 5.
But we had this discussion last week, Mark, where you said you didn't like.
I hate all PRSs.
Now
he loves all PRSs.
No, I don't like all PRSs. I played the others in the shop as well, and I've told you what I've always said. Just that's just my opinion. I just think.
Do you know how strong his hate was against PRS? It's like I actually gave him some legit amazing guitars, and he plays them. He's like, I don't like them. And then later on, I let him play them again. He's like, I got to buy that guitar.
No, it wasn't that. It was just,
you did play that one.
The one that
Which one are you talking about?
The one that
the CE2470 Hollow.
But then that was that. But compared to the I mean, I've had the custom 22. I've had a McCarty 5708. I've had the studio. I've had a good couple of Swamp
I
Ash.
agree with you on the 5708s, because I had a limited edition 150 Miro with 5708s, and I couldn't sell it fast enough, because just those pickups weren't anything to me like what I'd heard they would be. That
was one of the ones that I actually enjoyed out of the ones that I had, but then it just didn't have for me a personality like a guitar.
I think that's something everyone can kind of level against PRS in the past for sure.
And that's just once again my humble opinion. And then I played the C, yours, and then I played this, and I promise you, this was like I couldn't believe the sound that you're getting out of these. I mean, I don't like the American one, Maybe I'm just a cheap guitar guy.
Maybe you're just a cheap guitar guy.
Yeah,
says the man with an R8.
Yeah, but it's just like but it's not the price is not. I mean, and the what do you call it? The
value for money,
the value proposition.
Yeah, but just because it's like the brag,
What
like
a
you said,
big
the
word.
bragging right thing. But I mean, just because you need the highest, the brand, and you need the highest model in that brand, doesn't mean it's going to be the best guitar for
Just
you.
I feel like
Definitely.
you're aiming specifically at me, Mr. Custom Shop.
Yeah.
over here.
Yeah, no,
Mike.
look, I mean, it's like I just find like this is like a mid-range price guitar, but it sounds and plays flipping
And
amazing.
you're not going to be afraid
know?
to gig that.
Look at I'll gig this all day. You know what
Yeah,
I
I
mean?
mean,
really.
that is the one thing. Like when I think about like my R9 Custom Shop
Yeah.
1959 Les Paul, it's like, would I play that at a gig? Yes, if it was under guard. You know, in other words, like I'd
Yeah.
probably put the guitar in the case and fucking walk around with it.
Would you take it to
You know?
Strab with you?
Would I take it to where?
Strab.
What? With Strab?
Strab. Subterranean Rhythm
Mozambique.
and Blues Festival in Mozambique.
Okay. Oh, jeez, okay, no. I've got a custom shop telly that I would take with me because I wouldn't be worried about that. You know,
Yeah.
it's the kind of guitar that, you know, you smack it around, it'll probably be fine. I wouldn't want to smack
It'll
it
be
around.
more
but-
expensive.
Yeah, it'll be more expensive. It'll be relic. That's a
Yeah.
topic for a future one. But yeah, I mean, it depends on how precious you are about some things. Because also, like, I've always typically played any guitar.
But I don't see the
house,
point in
you know?
buying an expensive guitar if you're not going to play it. Especially
do
not play
play
it
every day.
live. But I mean, yeah, sure.
I don't play live though, so
Okay.
not anymore. So,
But I think, like we
Retired
spoke
at the
about
ripe old age
Arturia,
of 35.
Arturia
Yeah.
plays his live. I play mine live.
Yeah, I agree 100%. A guitar's meant
You
to
know?
be played. You know, like I'm not.
no, I
Definitely.
agree with that as well. I guess to me, it's just a case of, would I take something to a place where I know it's likely to
Yeah,
get
yeah.
knocked
Yes,
over?
I know,
Maybe
goodness,
not. You
yeah.
know, like I mean, certain gigs you're not going to take certain
No,
things to because you just know
100%.
the crowd's going to be a bit
Yeah.
boisterous. There's going to be that drunk guy will walk up to you and like poke at your guitar while you're
Yeah.
on the break or whatever.
Or chuck beer all over it.
Or you'll pick it
That's
up
when you
and try
take
to
your,
like.
you take your, that's when, in the break time you should take your guitar with you to the bar, you know? like it's, you know?
Yeah.
flipping-
I mean, imagine if Joe Bonamassa was playing like bar gigs. That's probably what he would do. But I mean,
Yeah.
he's not doing that. He's, you know.
Yeah, no, look, I mean, I think you're spending that kind of money just to like play it at home for your own ears to hear. I don't see the, you know, I
guess
suppose it's
depends
your
what
own,
you're doing, you
yeah,
know.
I
100%.
feel like Mark is attacking you.
He's attacking me, eh? And all custom
Oh,
shop
goodness,
guitars,
come
like-
on now.
Same as last week, eh? You're a hater, Mark. You're a
No, I'm not a hater. Goodness.
Mark, he's got
I
a
just,
custom shop.
I'm a gigging musician. I play a heck of a lot,
I'm a blues lawyer, man.
and and I just
I look at pretty guitars.
I don't play blues though. But
yeah, no, I just like enjoy a guitar's there to be gigged, man. I mean,
Definitely.
you know,
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I had a Sir Distinctive Select guitar, which I had for 3 months that I took out of its case for 5 minutes, which I then sold because I was like,
you know,
it's not being played. You know,
Yeah.
like I don't know if the guy who bought it is playing it, but
Yes.
for me, it's like having that standing there.
yeah.
that's actually a good segue to your gear of the week, which
Yeah.
we're still on gear of the week, by the way. We're still talking,
yeah.
but I mean, you were saying it to us earlier when we were sitting on the couch waiting to get going. I mean, you've had a Sir before, and you've looked at a couple of well, again cheaper guitars, not cheap guitars.
Yeah,
and you found
cheaper, yeah.
something.
Yeah. I've also owned a few Sirs. I had a Sir Telly.
Oh, Sir.
And I had the Sir HSS, I think it's just the modern or I can't remember the exact name. And then also the Distinctive Select. And yeah, I mean, I dig Sir guitars. Like my favorite players are all Sir players, you know. So, I mean,
So
Andy.
you're a blues lawyer too, is what you're saying. PRS and Sir.
Well, not really. Like my favorite guitar would be a Tom Anderson. If you tell
definitely
me,
blues lawyer.
yeah. So if you tell me like you can have any guitar, which will probably come into another segment in the next section, is you
Ooh,
know
spoilers.
Is if you tell me you can have any guitar, I'd probably my first choice would be to visit Tom Anderson and
Thomas
get some.
Anderson.
And then, but yeah. So back to gear of the week. Now looking at. And exactly this topic, because I've got a bunch of gigs coming up, which includes Strab, and a bunch of festivals and
It
stuff.
sounds like a disease. Strab. I got
It's
strab
not.
throat.
And
Sorry.
so now looking at
Sorry, Strab.
a cheaper option to actually, play it at festivals and that type of thing where you're not too worried about the guitar and obviously, not wanting to spend, not hundreds, but, lots of money.
Hundreds of rands.
Hundreds of rands, not.
Hundreds of dollars.
I actually started browsing and I came across, I mean, we all know Cort, the brand, and Cort is kind of at like not a really great name, but we all know Cort is kind of entry-level guitars. That's like if someone buys their first guitar, you probably like buy a Cort or something like that. And now Cort has recently released, well, last year, released the G300, which they see as their, like flagship guitar.
Where's the G300? Why didn't you bring a G300?
I don't have a G300.
Not
yet. I'm still thinking about that. And the thing is, Cort actually spec'd that out to be, like a Sir or a Tom Anderson or a Ibanez AZ, but like properly, like roasted maple neck, stainless steel frets, locking tuners, Seymour Duncan pickups, basswood body, American basswood body with a 1/4 inch maple top, not vanilla, like proper maple top. And fully spec'd. And funny enough, the guy that works with me, we actually yesterday opened Sir's website with their, I think it's their Modern Pro, the specs.
They do look pretty similar.
Yeah, so the specs and then the Cort specs. Spec-wise, it's pretty much the same guitar, apart from Sir obviously having Sir pickups and the Cort having Seymour Duncan pickups. But spec for spec, it's the same guitar, except the Cort's going to cost you in South Africa now like 11,000 Rand, whereas the Sir is going to cost you. On sale. And
what's the normal price? Like 16?
Yeah, about 16. Yeah, so let's say like 16 grand. And then whereas a Sir for the same price is probably going to cost you like 50. But spec for spec,
so that's being kind. I think it's probably would be.
I'm guessing. I'm thinking about what on Samus, what people are like selling their guitars for second-hand price. But but again, spec for spec, it's the same guitar. But now that thing comes in about like with gearheads. I know 2-3 months down the line, Mike's going to import something I'm going to want, and then I want to sell the Cort. And I know I'm not going to get the money for it. But the thing is, again, not that it's a bad guitar. It's an amazing
the resale
guitar.
value won't be there of the sort of prestige kind of legacy brands,
So that's my guitar of the week is the Cort G300.
Yeah, I think those are really cool. I tried out a G290, I think it was last year, with double humbuckers, but also like the carved top and everything, stainless frets, and it had like a bird's eye maple neck, which was pretty gorgeous. Freaking great guitar. I'm like super impressed. I saw one on the Facebook Marketplace Samus group last year, and I was actually considering buying it as the guitar to like just knock around. But,
sure.
Yeah, they're very cool. Like we were saying, the SE Silversky is made by Cortec. That's Cort.
Ibanez. Now after going into that, I went on and looked at what brands do Cort actually manufacture. Ibanez, PRS, G&L.
The Yamaha Rev Stars we were talking about last week, the Indonesian ones.
They're all made by this guy. Obviously, like you said, PRS has their own.
Yeah, so we don't know. Reverend Guitars is also manufactured by PT Cort. So there's also there's
Reverend Guitars.
Yeah, there's a Reverend Guitar. There's also a Cort China factory as well, where they do acoustics and hollow bodies and stuff. So they're a huge manufacturer, and they make quality stuff. And that's the thing is they can make you something like really entry level, and they can make you something super high end. I don't know if you guys ever played any of the 2000s Cort Masterbuilt guitars where they were made in Korea, where they're just like spec to the nines, the almost like sort of custom shop kind of vibe. They were really cool and they were pretty affordable. So it just kind of shows you they could make a crazy high end guitar. It's just the market's probably not gonna.
Well, I think that obviously, obviously, out of a financial point of view, I think the CEO of Cort makes more money building guitars for other people than worrying about building his own and then having to market and sell it. It's rather just.
He builds his own too. But I think Cort's been making guitars for other people for a lot longer than they've been making it under their own brand name. As far as I understood it, they actually came out with their own brand name because they're like, oh well, this is going pretty well.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's really the case.
I think it's probably the same as FGN.
Probably like Fujigen. We're making Ibanez's in the 80s, and these days. You can buy an FGN guitar, and
they're stunning.
FGN also makes Ibanez.
Isn't that the same with Schecter as well? Where Schecter was making all the pickups for everybody, and then they started
doing their own thing except they were in California. So it's always there's that kind of story with these brands, and we're going to talk about Cort more surprisingly, which is going to cover the next one. My gear of the week is something I actually own, which I brought with. It's a cheap sound card. So you can see it's full of finger marks because I've actually been using it. This is an Arturia Minifuse 1. It's pretty new, came out sort of earlier this year or late last year from Arturia. They're known for making MIDI keyboards and synthesizers and software synths and stuff like that.
Great plugins, yeah.
Fantastic plugins, fantastic controllers. And
also, interfaces, the
like
audio
high-end
fuse.
interfaces, yeah.
Audio fuse, I actually have a review on my channel, on this channel.
This is his channel. Like and subscribe.
On this channel, there is an actual review I did on the audio fuse, which is also...
Yeah, it's a great interface. This is their first attempt at like a cheap kind of Focusrite Behringer, Focusrite Scarlett Behringer kind of level. It's a little cheaper than a Focusrite Scarlett. I think it's 2,000 randish, 2,500
Check them out.
Yeah, have a look
at the.
And it's metal, which is surprising for how cheap it is. But actually, why I got it is I had a demo unit.
And it's Thunderbolt as well.
No, it's USB-C.
Okay.
But why I actually got it is I was just playing with the demo one that we had, and I thought, I need to get instrument input quickly. Instrument input on this thing is insane. Like it's super good, like nice. for the money. And that's kind of what I use it for. I don't use it for anything other than playing through plugins. Guitar,
last week you spoke about the neural DSP.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's obviously
I've been using that, and I've got access to SSL and Motu and Apogee and like all this high end stuff, and this is just like surprised me because I actually tried it just I just tried it out of interest, thinking it's probably going to be crap
on the go. You take that on the go with you.
Well, this is one input, so it's obviously
So it's there's the Minifuse 1 and you get the Minifuse 2 where you get two inputs. What's also super cool for me, on this laptop particularly, I've only got two USB-A ports on here and one USB-C. So if I plug that in with USB-C, it's actually got a USB hub built into the back. So then, I can still, get another USB port, so I can run a couple devices.
So you don't lose the port on the computer.
Yeah, which is really cool.
Clever.
So it's a very cool vibe.
Clever.
Also, what surprised me is the drivers are actually on the unit. So when you plug it in, it sort of functions like a USB storage device, and you can install the drivers and do the software and everything. It's like super easy. I know a lot of the manufacturers are doing that too, but the last time I tried like a super entry level sound card, it was bad. A few years ago. So
like the Scarlett I've got over there that I use for referencing.
But that's an old one. It's not,
but
the current one's also pretty good.
We reference, back to a couple of years ago.
Like, I think the technology just moved so far. And these guys, they're the market leader in controllers and software. And it's really cool to see them do something this cool. And also for me, when I go on holiday or travel or whatever, I'm fine with this rattling around my bag. Whereas my SSL 2 Plus, I'm not so, I'm not, all the knobs and stuff getting smacked in the bag. That wouldn't be good.
Yeah, well, back on the USB up thing, that was for me also a main selling point on the audio fuse, the bigger one, is the fact that also function. I think it had like 2 or 3
it's great,
extra USB inputs on the back. So if you plug it in, it's not that you're losing a port, you're actually gaining 2 more. It's like...
Very clever.
I think, if for something that's sort of relatively affordable and you need a mic input or instrument input and it's don't want to break the bank, it's cool. I'd go for it. But again, there's also lots of other options there. You get like a little bit more money. You can get a Scarlett 2i2 or a Motu M2 or... all sorts of things, a Mackie Onyx, whatever. So, the market, again, for this kind of stuff is probably better than it's ever been.
Yeah.
Check the link in the description to Marshall Music's online store.
Oh,
if you want
shilling. I did get it from Marshall Music for obvious reasons.
Plug.
But the plug. So we're going to talk about Cort some more because we got the hot news for the week. And the hot news, we're going for all the low-hanging fruit. It's sort of at eye level, it's so low-hanging at the moment of what every other YouTube channel is talking about. Is Cortec acquired Digitech and DOD, the legacy effects brand, the legendary brand that made pedals like the DOD 250, which is a legendary overdrive. I actually have a DOD analog delay pedal on my pedal board, and I'm the Strymon guy because it's a great pedal. And also I've owned like 7 Strymon delays, though I wanted to try something else.
Yeah.
So
I've never owned anything by Digitech or DOD.
Really?
Yeah.
Nothing.
I used to go through like the multi-effect units.
The RP. My first effects unit was the RP.
Was great.
And it was like Tupperware.
My first effects unit was a Zoom 500.
Goodness.
Oh wow, 505.
And then I upgraded. Was it the 505 or just the 500? Probably the 505. And then I upgraded to the 707.
Jeez.
Oh wow, I'm sure that's hard
for days.
Did it have an expression pedal now?
The 707 had the expression pedal.
That little plastic expression pedal. I actually went from an RP50 to an RP100 because it had the expression pedal.
I used to love the Digitech. It had a built-in drum box and everything, It
Yeah,
So
they're pretty cool. Like I
was
think the
great.
market really lost something when Digitech dropped out of that sort of arms race in the the Line 6 kind of boss sort of arena for guitar multi-effects. So like hopefully they bring that back. I don't know what Cort's plans are, but it was actually owned, it was part of the Harman Group, which was bought by Samsung some years back, probably 2016, 2017. As far as I know, they bought the Harman Group because they wanted like automotive technologies, because part of that is JBL and AKG and some other brands there. So obviously Samsung making things in the consumer electronics side, that's what they want, and this was like bundled in with that. So I don't think they were ever really super keen on it. They haven't been making DoD pedals, Digitech stuff for a long time, probably a year or two.
I think the only Digitech pedal I've ever really wanted was a Whammy, but that's only due to Tom Morello. I think
that's fun. Whammy's a lot of fun. It'd be cool if they could bring one back that doesn't use AC power. That would be nice. I don't know if you know, though, with the Whammies, it's always got the AC power supply, and it's just like you always lose it or it breaks and you can't get another one.
Mind you, there's one out that can detune that would,
Oh, the drop tune.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
That's cool, yeah. And they
cool.
They also had all those like really cool like delays. I mean, the reverbs like the Polaro, which had lexicon effects, because that was part of the Harman Group. I don't know if that's not going to go because of intellectual property, but I think Cort is a good company to own. A legendary brand like this. They're manufacturing legendary guitar brands for other brands all the time. So why should we believe that they wouldn't be able to get a legendary effects brand, two legendary effects brands going, I think it's a positive for us, because the market's kind of missed that, and I really hope that they do multi-effects and they do amp modeling again.
Yeah, I hope so.
But I mean, from my point of view, not being a Digitech guy, because I've always literally from Zoom, when I switched to multi-effects, I had the Line 6 kidney, from them. So I've always had Line 6, so that's why I never, but I mean, my thoughts just around it is like the market at the moment, like competing with, people like Line 6, Neural, Kemper. I mean, Moore is also amazing. So,
Ampero,
I mean,
Hotone.
Yeah, Hotone. I mean, there's already a lot of brands that are like, in this thing. I mean, but you can never say never. I mean, we all thought Nokia was going to be the best thing ever, and now where's Nokia? So, I mean,
they still work. If whoever's got one, it probably still works.
If you have a 3310, you're still calling.
You're still in the game.
But yeah, it's like from my point of view, I'm like really wondering why Cortec would have bought them.
Yeah, I guess that's a different way to look at it, because maybe, I don't know what the staff situation is. If they haven't made new stuff for a couple of years, the staff's probably gone. So, trying to like pick up the mantle from, 6 years ago's technology, that might be hard if they have to like, restart it. So there's that side. It could also be a horrible failure. I hope it isn't, because like more going on in the space in terms of hardware is good. I think just because, at the moment it feels like if you've got a certain amount of money, you're probably buying one of the Chinese brands like Moore or Hotone. And if you're a little bit above that, then you're probably looking at a Helix or a Boss GT1000, something in that range. And then beyond that, you got the Fractals and the quad, Neural DSP Quad Cortex and the Kempers. It's just like those tiers there. That middle tier feels a little bit light. Like there could be a little bit more there. I mean, Korg used to make stuff in this that they don't do it anymore.
Vox also
were doing it as well.
Thing.
They don't do it anymore. So actually, we do have somewhat less in that sort of mid tier than there used to be. So I'd be happy to see something else sort of slot in there that just gives you another option if you don't want to quite go for the cheaper stuff, and you don't want to spend $3,000 on something.
The guys are getting great sounds out of the Hotones and the Moores. Eh?
That's true.
Really good sounds. I mean, for live, they work and sound great.
That's true.
They really sound great. I mean, and in a venue that you have to rely on the room you're in. You can have the most expensive piece again, and it can sound like absolutely rubbish,
Yeah, you're right. It's also about how you dial the stuff in, because I mean, we've all been there. I mean, especially with the Zoom stuff. No offense to the Zoom, but the buzzing can of beans, bees and beans sounds.
No, I mean,
I remember like watching Andres play, and Andres used to have that little one that fitted in the belt,
Oh gosh,
Andres Puerta, and I thought, and he got a killer sound, but also in his fingers. I mean, he's just such a good player. You could probably play through anything, like a Metal Zone, and still sound great. I mean,
well, what song is of Joseph Trelawney actually like the lead section of one song was the demo he did on a Zoom 505 or a 707. So it was the demo, And when they got to studios, I think it's on the Surfing with the Alien album somewhere, or somewhere.
I remember reading that. Yeah,
he actually then
just used the demo.
He used the demo, which he recorded on a Zoom 505.
Because it was just better than
it was
what
the
he,
take.
what he could do.
Wow.
So and
So I think, I mean, anybody can make good sounds with relatively cheap stuff. It's just pretty cool that the relatively cheap stuff is a lot better than it's ever been, you know? So, well, let's see what Cortec do with it. I mean, maybe they don't do much. Maybe it's just a reissue of a Whammy and a reissue of a Space Station, and you know,
let's hope not.
Who knows? Let's see where they go. But I got faith. I think they've done some pretty good things with their products. So let's see. Hot topic of the week. We finally got there. Okay, so. Let's talk about what is your ultimate 2-car garage. I mean, in car circles, it's actually the 3-car garage is what people go for. You know, you need a daily and an off-roader and a sports car kind of vibe.
and a bike maybe.
And a bike. But we're going with the 2-car garage when it comes to guitars, because that makes it harder. That makes it a lot harder. Because, you know, if it's the three guitars that if you could have any 3, and those are the only 3 you could play for the rest of your life.
Budget is no option.
And budget is
We're
no
super
option.
rich.
It's a lot easier than if you can only have 2 that you have to play for the rest of your life. You know what I mean?
Elon Musk, and you can only have 2 guitars.
Because you need to sell the Twitter headquarters to convert it into a homeless shelter.
Exactly.
You know, so.
Yes.
So that's kind of the vibe, right? You can't have 3 because that third guitar you got to auction, you know. So for the homeless,
For the homeless and for the boring company.
So what's yours, man?
Mine. Well, obviously 2 guitars. I'd have to think acoustic and electric.
And it could be something you have as well. Like, it doesn't have to necessarily be something you don't have.
No, it's probably something I don't have. But so obviously 2 guitars. I'd probably have to acoustic and electric.
Oh, come on, an acoustic, seriously.
Man.
Piezo pickup in something.
But it's not the same. It's not. It doesn't feel the same. I mean, so acoustic. I'd probably get a Taylor 9 Series just because money is no option, and I'll just get the best Taylor money can buy.
So what about a presentation series then, if you really want to like?
Yeah, but I mean, it'll be a Taylor, and it'll be definitely above a 7 Series. So acoustic. So that's fairly easy.
Yeah.
You know, exact specs I won't be able to say. And then, I mean, like I mentioned earlier, you know, I dig Tom Anderson guitars. To me, they're just like, it's like, because the one Tom Anderson I owned was literally the best sounding, best playing guitar I've ever had.
I'm changing the rules. I'm changing the rules. I'm going to change the rules.
All right.
Let's do one with 2 electrics, and then let's do one with 2 acoustics.
Okay, cool.
Goodness.
Because that actually makes it harder in some ways.
Not really. I'll still
does.
just take 1 acoustic.
Really?
Yeah, what went 2?
Well, D18, maybe a parlor size guitar. Maybe you'd want a J45 or an SJ200. If you're really into acoustics, you probably need like 5 of them.
Yeah.
You know, if you
Luckily,
want.
I'm not. So I'll just have 1 to just have
let's keep it to electric guitars.
Okay, 2 electrics. Okay, so 2 electrics are definitely, like I said, Tom Anderson.
So I changed the rules already again. You don't know. I could change it again.
Okay, so like just be on my toes. So Tom Anderson, I think a drop top Tom Anderson with HSH pickup configuration with his pickups. I mean, we don't have to go into too much detail.
Humbucker in the neck, yeah.
But yeah, humbucker in the neck. But I mean, obviously with Tom Anderson's VA switch, that is killer. And I'd definitely take 5A bird's eye maple neck and fretboard.
So he's really specking this out. He's thought about this.
He's put some thought in that one. He's just always said his eye on it.
Well, that's the cool thing with Tom Anderson. You can literally like go on his website. So, and then obviously I'll have a quilt maple top, and with trem, whatever trem Tom Anderson chooses. And I mean, there you go. So that. And second guitar will probably be a mayonnaise or however you pronounce it, mayonnaise. I think it's mayonnaise. Probably have a mayonnaise as well, but also like fully kitted out. I'll actually put a photo up.
With like fan frets and everything.
I don't know if the fan frets is really my thing, but I think I'll do a 7-string.
Extended scale or?
Yeah, definitely. So 7-string.
I didn't expect that. Did you see that coming? No, I was expecting him to say his PRS.
No, damn it. Just lost it.
I know. You faulted at the first hurdle.
But what I'll do is I'll actually go spec out the exact. So if you go on Mayonnaise's website, you can actually go build the guitar exactly to your spec.
This brand.
What?
No, he's not a 7-string heavy kind of guy.
But we'll get him into that just now. So again, well, Mark and I had this conversation prior. So I'm really digging this band Polaris from Australia, and they play Mayonnaise guitar. So I think Mayonnaise is Austrian or Swedish or somewhere from Europe.
Czech
there.
Republic or something?
Yeah, somewhere there. So, and you can actually go spec out your guitar.
Full on metal vibe, eh?
Totally. Chicks dig it. And then, but what I'll do is, I think, so mayonnaise.
Yes, so that's a weapon in a venue.
Oh, yeah.
So I think to
can sort
finalize
someone
my
out.
thing,
Yeah.
mayonnaise Regis 7.
Regis 7. So
And then
you'll
I'll
put that on screen in the edit.
I'll put
of
that on
course.
screen. I'll go spec it out completely.
I
Exactly
hate it
what
and
I want.
I can't
and
see
I'll,
it, but
I'll put
I
it
hate
on.
it. Just because I...
That's me. So
That's you.
I'm
Okay,
gonna
I
stop
really
blabbering
did
now.
expect Mr. PRS to have a PRS. Like, I'm shocked. Frankly shocked and
The
appalled.
thing is, if I had more choices, like if I had 5 guitars, there'd definitely be 2 PRSs in
We'd
there.
be sitting here
5
all day.
guitars.
Yeah, sorry.
Ooh, and I'd want a 41mm nut.
But yeah, if I had 5 guitars, my third guitar would have been a PRS, a 513. So
513. Okay.
that would have been my
He
third.
likes his versatile stuff, like lots of pickups.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that-
Just
I like less
But it's
pickups.
also specking out stuff. I mean, I've got no clue. That's why I could just say, Mark, what would you think? I mean, you know what I kind of like? Because when you used to order all that, when you still do, when you put the orders in for, every little, spec for guitars. I mean,
kind of got to have to.
Goodness,
You
I
have
mean-
to. If you don't know
Sure.
the detail, there's especially people buying higher end stuff. The detail matters.
Yeah.
They're really worried about. No, I don't want that one because of this thing. Example would be like in Gibson Custom Shop, you get multiple different R7 models. They're all the same guitar. It's just the one's got a double gold finish, the one's got an aged gold finish, the other one's got a gold back, the other one's got a dark back, the other one's got a natural back. So it's crazy. There's like 4 or 5 codes for them, but
Sure.
then you got to go, okay, well, does a guy in South Africa, is he going to want one that's got a gold back? Probably not. He's going to want the old school one. So now, does he want a dark back or does he want So it's like that. Those are silly details. I mean, there's things like neck widths and fret heights and things, but actually, you don't have to spec that with custom shop, in the Gibson sense, unless you go made to measure. But yeah, which is there where it then gets crazy. But
but you got that down.
yeah, I try to. So I'll talk about the spec if you need me to. So what's your choice?
My choice on my 2 guitars.
I mean, it can be stuff you have already.
Yeah, I actually do have 2 guitars that I already.
Okay, that's actually
Would be
thrown me.
my-
I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, look, I mean, it's always nice
That's
to.
boring, man. Come
No,
on,
look
dream
here,
a
I
bit.
mean,
Live
I'm going to
it
be
up.
boring
dream,
too.
but-
You're going to see.
But the thing is, what I kind of always go back to is actually it's my Jap Strat, which I absolutely love, and
You can't be parted from that guitar. No, you've tried. You keep
I've
trying to buy
tried,
another Strat,
and
and then
just
you end up
nothing-
selling it.
Nothing compares.
And I've told you every time, don't buy this, Mark.
Yes.
What happens? You go back to your Jap Strat.
No, but I mean, it keeps on popping up.
Because that's your reference now to what you dig.
I mean, that was a gift. It's
That was
like a 90s Fender.
That was my 21st birthday present from my dad. Yeah.
What?
Wow.
And
it used to be blue, didn't it? It's like white.
No,
now,
it used
eh?
to be white.
Was it?
It
Okay.
went many different colors. Now it's being done, and it's just been redone white again, like back to its original color.
So was I thinking blue because that's the color it was in Mean Mr. Mustard or something?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was the
that's-
same guitar.
So it's like early 90s Japanese Fender?
It was 80s actually.
Wow. You're old.
Yeah. Well, old.
I was going to Mark, you're only 25 now.
And my other one is my other guitar is
You don't look a day over 25, Mark.
oh goodness. And the other one is my R8.
What?
Your Gibson
My-
R8.
yeah,
Oh, all right.
The man who bags on custom shops likes a custom shop.
Well, I mean, if I had to, like the 2 guitars, my one that's versatile, which got all the sounds I want, and then a humbucker guitar that I really like.
The one that you stroke lovingly and think
Yeah.
indecent thoughts about. Is it that
Yes.
one?
I don't know. I think I'm just too obsessed with too many I'm thinking about Sir. There's a guitar, Sir the One, which is the entire guitar plus its case was built out of one piece of wood.
Oh goodness,
That's
really?
wild.
Like I'm thinking, why would you want an R8 when you can have
don't know.
that?
R8s are beautiful, man. What-
Yeah, but
It's just I just like the simple, but I just like the simple thing. And I play. I'm not. You like a. So I think with your style of music that you enjoy playing as well. I think it influences
no, I dig
your.
the
You're more
heavy
progressive
music.
kind of guy
Yeah.
and what you're into.
Well, the thing is, my music taste, what I prefer to play really like like, I've got multiple personalities. Like one day I'll be like just blues, and then I'll be just listening to BB King, and that type of thing. And then the next day I'll be like just the mood in for everybody, and I'll just be listening to like really hardcore, like Polaris and, unprocessed and like really heavy stuff.
Yeah.
And so I don't know, that's
So you're looking for something that can cover more genres than maybe what Mark is, because I mean for you're covering a lot of genres.
I just enjoy blues and pop and rock. I mean
because I mean you're playing a lot of covers and corporate stuff as well.
But not into heavy stuff. So I don't need anything. That's,
I'll introduce you to Polaris.
Yeah, I heard of it in the car there. I'm definitely be listening to that on my way home.
I actually, like a while back, I was lying in bed listening to Polaris on my TV, and I put a video on my status saying, like, this is the best way to wake up. And I had Nick Rush messaging me like, Bruce, this band. This is amazing. So I don't know.
Yeah, just I mean, I enjoyed just like taking listen, was the melody.
Yeah, so I think because you asked Nano, like, with options, like, for me, is like, one, because I like so many styles of music, I want something to like a 7-string that could really chug, like hardcore riffage, but I also want something that's like super clean that you can do John Mayer-ish type of stuff on.
I can see that. I mean, I'm probably more in Mark's camp with what I enjoy. So I mean, that's probably why he ends up buying my guitars from me and vice versa. But I think I'm very similar to Mark, actually, surprisingly, because I didn't expect you to say that. I was expecting maybe the Strat plus something else. I'm interested that you chose the Les Paul, because I would also choose my own Les Paul. I've a custom shop 1959 R9, as mentioned. He's got an R8. They're very similar. The only difference is the R8's got a bigger neck, very slightly lower frets, and no flame top. It's just a plain maple top, whereas the R9's got the flame maple top. If I could really choose though, I'd probably have an R8 neck on an R9, because I do like the bigger neck. Like
Murphy Lab, just
I'm not into that. That's definitely a topic for another one where we can upset a lot of people. But it's the relic thing looks cool, it feels cool, but it's, to me, I'd rather play the guitar and let it get old as I play it. And of course the likelihood that it'll stay around long enough to get old is also quite
to get that old
quite low. But
gotta play it live, Mark. You gotta take it live.
I used to. Come on, like don't bag on me for.
You'll quickly get ready.
So I would go with an R9, maybe with an R8 neck. But if it had to be a specific guitar that I played, my R9 I do love. So I wouldn't.
That's a great guitar.
It's a really good guitar. Yeah, I mean. And to me, about that, what's like amazing about it versus regular Les Paul, because I mean, this is a funny thing. One of the guys from Gibson Custom Shop actually said to me when I had a Zoom call with him, he's like, the only similarity between a regular USA Les Paul and a custom shop Les Paul is how it looks from a distance.
You're joking.
And he's like, and I was like, yeah, okay. And then he explained a little bit to me about how they make it and the materials they use, and he's right. Like they're built out of broadly the same materials, but the way they do it, and even the type of mahogany. I mean, my Les Paul weighs less than a typical Strat. So to me, it's not heavy. People are like, Gibsons are heavy. Well, it's like, it depends on what level of money you want to spend, because that depends, the weight of the wood. So, I mean, it's an all solid mahogany guitar, but it's light. I mean, it's mine is under 8 pounds. So, it's like 3.5 kilograms or whatever. So, it's super light. And also just the pickups, the unparted custom buckers, you can get them to howl with a lot of gain if you want to, but it's just, it responds like a single coil. To me, it's like, we've said this before. It's that whole like thing that people say about vintage Les Pauls, where they're like, it's like a big telly, That's how my Les Paul is. I don't know about yours.
Yeah, I enjoy the cleanness of it. Has a bit
brightness and the snap that it has.
Sparkle. That's why I enjoy a Strat.
Yeah.
Look, I love a telly as well. I mean, if there were 3 guitars,
there's a telly in there.
The telly would have been in there, 100%, 100%. Just those 3, and I am.
And you picking my day.
Yeah, I mean,
I actually did do that. My other thing would be probably a custom shop telly, and. Surprise, I own a custom shop telly. I only have 2 guitars because I've been like trying to get towards these things, and like you can debate whether like a standard telly is, it's already pretty good, but the custom shop difference for me is I'm getting a roasted flame maple neck that looks insane.
It does.
It really looks insane. And, I'm getting probably the best telly pickups. I got custom shop twisted telly pickups in, which are so good. They're quite bright. I mean, that guitar's pretty bright, but it's one of the best tellies I've played, I think. I mean, I've had a few mates play it, and they're like, this is the best telly I played. I mean, they haven't played yours, but... it's just that big neck, man. The large C neck. Like, you don't get that on the normal ones. And Fender's never going to do that. So for me to get that, I got to go custom shop, man. And it's
the
American Original.
No, goodness, Richie Kotzen.
That's got a big neck.
That's got a big neck.
So
that's true.
That's
true.
amazing.
But I mean, that's
telly.
more of a V profile, you know.
Yeah, but it still feels great.
Pretty big.
So
those
my
are all
question
heavy
is-
though, which I don't like. All the Richie Kotzens are heavy though. All the ones I've tried.
Okay.
Whereas, I mean, my telly is light. You'd think it's a semi-hollow.
Yeah.
That's again for me. Lightness is what I value in guitars as well.
So you can't really go wrong with a telly, you know?
You can't. I mean, even if it is slightly heavy, you can use it to fight off people.
The little
You know?
squeak there.
Yeah, I've owned a few tellies as well. One of which is the Sir telly. I just never.
But you know what? But a telly is not for everyone. A telly is a very hard guitar to play for
It fights with you,
especially to gig with. I mean, you've got to, you either dig a telly or you hate it.
But that's the thing, yeah. So like for me, the Sir telly I had, like, I mean, playability wise, it was insane. But tone wise, I could just never. I'm probably one of those people I just could never bond with a telly, even though I dig country music, you know.
But
and
a
I
telly
mean,
plays rock, it does everything.
Yeah, it does
but
everything.
A telly can play. It can be,
If
I just could
if
never.
the question
but
was,
I think it's that feel, and it's so straight, and it's so, you know. But it's just that.
see,
I
I'm
think
used to
everybody
my
just
guitars
finds-
being a bit of a torture rack, you know, no ergonomics. Because I mean, the Les Paul, let's face it, it's got no ergonomics. It's just a slab, and a telly is just a slab. I'm used to that. But if you're used to contours and stuff,
yeah. See, I'm used to contours.
yeah, it's
Even myself, you check.
you got a few contours.
But yeah.
You know, if the question was only one guitar, I would actually choose a telly because, like, that's the guitar can do most of the gigs. If you need to smack someone in the teeth who's coming at you on stage, you know, Keith Richards style, you use the telly.
Goodness.
You know, whatever it can do most things.
But have you
whereas-
tried like Tom Anderson or Sir tellies? Like, I don't know if you.
Yeah, I mean, what's the Tom Anderson one? Is called the
Drop top or
drop
the-
top. I was thinking Atom, but the Atom's the single.
Yeah, they've got the
single
drop top and I think just a T. So
Yeah, they're cool guitars, but again, for me, the neck profiles are in the space generally where they're a little
Yeah,
smaller.
they're a lot thinner and
you
smaller,
know, that's not my vibe. Like,
Yeah, see, I dig that, but I've got small hands and I've got a broken
I don't
pinky
actually-
that I can't straighten.
I don't have big hands either. I got the girly hands, you know, the piano player fingers, but I tend to play thumb over. So for me, bigger neck, you know, I find that easier than smaller neck. But I've also, you know, most of the guitars I've owned actually have been smaller necks. It's just, again, from exposure to different things, and I've gone that way. But, you know, I mean, I think a telly is that kind of guitar where it really punishes you if you play anything wrong. Like you don't fret the note correctly. You do anything, it like smacks you over the head and says you suck at guitar.
Yes.
Yeah, look,
That's
I
probably
mean-
why I'd never play telly, because
No,
you're just
no,
like
one-
telling
one-
me you suck, bro.
One
Put
of the
it
guys
down.
who's most fluent, like for a telly player, that's fluent in like, that makes it sound like it's a Schroeder guitar. Is probably Mr. Gallagher, you know?
I mean, I don't know how he does it, Because like
I mean, that dude, I mean,
Yeah, I've
check
seen-
his
I've seen
Facebook
Gallagher,
post,
yeah.
him.
Yeah, I've checked him
no,
playing
not
tellies
in the
and I'm
telly.
thinking...
like shredding on a telly, you
Yeah.
know, and it's...
Yeah, I've checked videos of him like on a telly and I'm like thinking, that's not how a telly is supposed to
No.
sound.
But he does it, you know, it's
No, it's
Look,
pumping.
you can
It's-
get it to sound like anything, but
Yeah.
I mean, just his fluent, but it's just his
the playing ability, man.
See, when I look at a telly, I see Brad Paisley. You know, I see like that's just what I like. You know,
Yeah,
I mean, Brad
kinda-
Paisley is a monster player.
No, but like that sound. You know,
Yes.
so not like now.
You know, to me, my reference to single coils, like one of my favorite bands is Biffy Clyro, actually, and I only discovered
love
them
Biffy.
really properly in the last couple of years, thanks to a friend named Steve.
great.
Thank you, Steve. And I mean, that dude, he's playing a Strat bridge pickup. He doesn't use any of the other pickup positions. Strat bridge pickup really loud into loud raging amps with a metal zone. And that is
Best-
that is against every
it's such a
rule,
killer sound.
and it sounds incredible and
Best
heavy.
guitar
You
tone
know?
ever.
Yeah.
I must say, like go check out Biffy Clyro's Biblical. That like
Oh
the
man,
song-
that is such a good song.
when that band comes in, that it's just so huge. Well, obviously we don't know what they used in production, but like I mean,
you know,
that's the biggest
the
guitar
basic
sound.
ingredients is metal zone, Marshall amps, and you know a Strat
Metal
bridge
Zone,
pick.
eh?
Metal zone, yeah.
Goodness.
It's just crazy. I mean, he has a signature like drive pedal now as well that he has some other tones, but he just says I can't get away from the metal zone. It's like
It's part of his sound, eh?
it's part of his sound, and he plays the high action as well. I mean, the guy like Simon Neil's a
wow.
crazy bastard, but you know that just shows me like a Strat style or a telly style guitar, that single coil pickup can do so much, and
Yeah.
that's probably why I dig custom shop Les Pauls as well, because they're so similar to a Telecaster kind of vibe. Because those pickups, they're humbucking, but they don't play like it. They don't feel like it under the finger. They got the the dynamics and what, and that's really what you miss versus a standard American. So I mean, I was trying to buy a regular American Les Paul or a SG or something for a long time, and they just don't do it for me, So
yeah, look, I never thought I'd ever want a custom shop.
no, neither did I. That's
I never thought I'd want one until Mark over here.
It's like you got to try one.
He said, "Just the shop, I just got a couple here. Just come and
just touch it. Just touch it. Smell it.
No,
smell the case. Open the case and smell it.
I've got a Les Paul.
it.
I've got a great one." And then it was just like when I played, and I just heard that spank and that top end. It was like goodness.
And that's I think what something like a PRS hollow body also has. It's also got that spank now with the way the construction is. The pickups. I mean, you got a CE24 that's got that sort of spank and brightness. And actually, that guitar is like crazy for heavy stuff, like drop tune kind of stuff, because there's so much definition, And I think that's kind of also to me where like guitar tone has changed in the last sort of 20 years. And you can kind of track it when you look at PRS because, dark kind of pickups, higher output pickups. And now where they're at is lower output pickups, 8 kilo ohm kind of, vintage Les Paul kind of output from their humbuckers and much brighter. And I think that's just kind of tracks where, guitarists are gone from a pretty like big loud amp that they're trying to like get all the drive they can out of the thing in the last sort of 20, 30 years. And they're trying to use pedals to push the amp, and they need the pickups to be hot and everything. And nowadays, you can get all the gain you want out of your amp. If you've got a channel switching amp, you can get all the gain you want out of your pedals. So actually what you want now is
a more versatile guitar. Well,
you just need, I'd say, more articulate pickups rather than something that's just going to like slam your amp or slam your pedals.
That's the one reason why I sold the Tremonti that I had, was the fact that was just too high output. Like you couldn't get a clean tone out of it. Like on the neck pickup, like was, or not the bridge, sorry, the bridge, like if you try to get it clean, it doesn't do clean.
So is it just that high output?
I'll probably have people going to say,
like
I'm an idiot, you can get clean, but it's such a high output pickup that it was.
That's his playing style. Although, I mean, have you seen recently he's like singing like Frank Sinatra songs?
Yeah.
Mark Tremonti is like, I did it my way.
But he can. He can,
yeah. It's like, it's actually, you just look at it and go like, what? Apparently he was practicing Frank Sinatra songs during lockdown or something.
Oh, see, all these singers are going into like, I saw something with old Nuno, one of my ultimate guitar players.
Definitely.
Yeah, when he's like doing all this singing now, and like when he sings with his band, it sounds cool, but then he like released this other song the other day. Sound good, but I wanted, you want to watch Nuno for his bloody soloing, you know what I mean?
But that's the same thing I felt, well, I mean, off topic, but like when I felt...
everything's off topic at this point.
With Mark Tremonti, when he released his first Tremonti, album, like I was also like, when the rumors came out that he's doing a solo album, I was also thinking...
That's a good album, man.
Yeah, but I was like, you're thinking like, you know him as the guitarist for Creed and Alter Bridge, and he shreds, named Alter Bridge as like I think the Blackbird solo was named like the best solo for whatever, rated with Guitarist magazine, whatever. But then he brings out a solo album where he sings, and before you hear him sing, you're thinking like,
oh no,
oh shit, is it going to be one of those again? Yeah. And he comes out and he flipping sings, it's like he pumps. So yeah, I haven't heard Nuno's album.
No, he's got a couple of albums. I mean, the first couple that he released early on were, I think, not up to what you expect.
Yeah.
He's been kind, Guitar Hero, you can't like...
No, listen, Nuno can't do much wrong to me, yeah?
Yeah.
That's true.
In the words of Joe Satriani, quote, Nuno Bettencourt has more talent in his pinky than I have in both my hands.
Wow.
That's Joe Satriani, that's it.
No, really?
Really.
Well, I mean, if it's not true, we can just change it to like with a meme where it's like Gandhi or something.
But I'm pretty sure I read
we could like attribute it to Einstein or Gandhi or something. In post, like most of those things on social media, it's like, oh, this you're like stupid bullshit. It doesn't mean anything.
Kurt Cobain said it.
Kurt Cobain said this in 1997. Yeah. Oh, sure he did. It's like.
But I'm pretty sure that Joe Satriani said that, and if he didn't, he should.
If he didn't, he should.
Look, speaking of like just these musos that are like that are not the instrument, but then they're singing, like old rest in peace Taylor Hawkins. When whenever they do the live shows and he comes out to do his singing set. That's probably one of my favorite parts of a Foo Fighters show.
Yeah, I saw that only after.
Yeah, he was so talented, and I mean,
but I mean, just he's such a good front man.
Yeah, I only saw that after he passed away. That I saw a video where he gets called to the front and says like do a Queen song, and I'm also thinking, and the next moment he starts hoying, and I'm like,
but.
That is a talented band, though. Because I mean, like Chris Shiflett, one of the guitar players, he also does like amazing solo stuff where it's almost like more sort of country southern rock kind of stuff. Like very, very cool as well. And Taylor plays on there and sings on there as well. So it's like super cool stuff, you know. So I mean, that's one aspect of the music industry that's not going to be the same, you know, with Taylor passing away. So. You know, let's hope they come back and still just continue to defy expectations with longevity. I mean, let's hope it's not the end. But if it is, you also got to be respectful as a fan. You know what? Like, that's a devastating blow. You know, we also can't be like, oh, you have to. You know, screw you if you don't. You know, like it's. I don't know. I mean, for me, that would probably be the end for me. You know, if I was in that.
Losing such a key.
Yeah, because Foo Fighters were a band. You know, it's not like these other bands that like the drummer leaves and you actually didn't even know who the drummer was. For Foo Fighters, with me, like I know
that's like
every
integral
guy in the band, and all of them are like they are a band. You know, in this proper sense of the word.
Sure. Yeah, it's a real shame. Let's hope we see them make a comeback. And if they don't, you know what, good on you for making a decision that's good for your mental health. I don't know. I mean, let's not be the internet people who are like, oh, screw you, Dave Grohl, I'm going to find you if you don't go back. Because people on the internet are crazy. We know this. Talking about people on the internet that are crazy, we'll quickly hit some more low-hanging fruit, just over here. The gear page topic of the week, we're not going to talk about this for long because every freaking YouTuber, every person has had something to say. Every guitar forum that isn't the gear page has had something to say about this. There's a topic on the gear page called Gibson Might Be in Trouble, and it's about like a dude who went to Coachella, the pop music festival, and didn't see a lot of Gibsons. And then makes the conclusion that, I'm just seeing Fenders out there, so, obviously Gibson's in trouble. Meanwhile, as an industry insider, record sales, multiple years in a row, company saved from the brink, hugely profitable. I don't know. Second biggest guitar maker in the world. I think they're doing fine. I don't think they're in trouble. But the subjective opinion of the internet is, screw you, Gibson. Screw you in particular, right?
No, Well, the thing is, I mean, obviously, like this guy at Coachella probably saw a handful of acts, and they were all playing Fender. But
I mean, it's Coachella; it's a pop festival.
Exactly.
Like, so nobody's, funny enough. I mean, in the thread, somebody who was one of the stage managers at Coachella, chimes in and says, like, "Hey, I was a stage manager there. There were plenty of artists with Gibsons. I don't know. Obviously, you were at that stage. Yeah, I was at this stage, and it also that's really a subjective thing.
Yeah.
Also depends on what time of the day this dude was actually checking the stages. If he was checking all the opening acts, not waiting for the main acts, then obviously you'd see, not the most famous bands. And, well, apart from that, the thing is that by the time the acts with the PRSs, with the Les Pauls came on stage.
He's wearing a Gibson hat, but it's a lie.
So when those acts came on stage, he was probably, hammered out of his mind, and then pay attention. I don't know.
Well, I just saw, one of the clips from Harry Styles and Shania Twain, and the guitarist in Harry Styles' band is playing Les Paul.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because I think Gibson, from a company point of view, is the company in the guitar industry that everyone wants to bag on. They're the bad guy, and
There's always going to be someone.
It goes back to the. So I guess kind of the point where people sort of got upset already with the new Gibson, because they've been under new ownership since 2019, is the Mark Agnesi video, the Play Authentic video. Everybody got upset with, we're going to come after you if you do anything, and that's I mean, let's be honest. It's not the kind of move that you should make if you need the new ownership. I can see why they did, because JC Curley, the CEO of Gibson, was with Levi's jeans before. Intellectual property is a very big thing in that space because there's a lot of counterfeits. You can see the thought process coming to guitars. No counterfeit guitars, no copies or whatever. But I mean, the guitar industry is now at the point where body shapes are not copyrighted; it's headstock shapes. So any guitar manufacturer, if they want to, can make something that looks like a Les Paul or like a Strat or whatever, and there's not really anything you could do. So it was a weird move,
Yeah, I think it just left a bad taste in a lot of people, but it's it was a bit like.
It's just one of those you should and you shouldn't do that.
Yeah, I actually thought to myself, never supported Gibson. Yeah, I definitely thought that.
Oh yeah, no, you got a Gibson. Look at this.
Yeah.
The guitar kind of overcame your.
Yeah.
Actually, how many have you bought the last couple of years? Probably 3 or 4. Here.
Your wife might be listening.
Cheers.
One.
Oh, one. It was one.
One.
Yeah.
It was one. Well, I mean, you don't have any of the others anymore. So
Oh,
to your
goodness. I
credit.
mean, they always come in and go out, you know, so.
Yeah, you're safe, Mark. It's okay. But yeah, I guess coming back to this is just like my overall point was actually like musicians want to hate Gibson. It just seems like they're the designated bad guy. Some of the other brands can do no wrong. Funny enough, it's Gibson and PRS are usually the two brands that on the internet people are getting upset with for some reason.
But it's also the two brands that are actually trying to expand on what they've been doing. I mean, with Gibson it went horribly wrong, and with PRS, you know, when the Silversky came out, everybody was just like, but it's the fact that they're trying to innovate. They're not just like, well, here's the guitar, sorry.
Oh, PRS is. I'm not so sure Gibson is anymore.
Yeah, no, like Gibson, obviously, after their high performance models and the digital tuner at the
Robot
back,
tuners.
the tuner, you know. So, but I mean, for me, out of my point of view, that's where I feel like Fender has been stagnating. It's the same thing, different color.
Sure, that's some pretty harsh words.
I don't know. I think if you want a Fender, man, you want a Fender for that thing. You want the Jaguar, or you want a Strat, or you want a Telly, because
but that's exactly my point. Is the sense that from definitely Strats are amazing, Tellys are amazing, but there's like not something else. I mean, let's look at PRS.
I would disagree with you there. I mean, they just released the Player Series, Player Plus Meteora, which is like a very cool offset with humbuckers.
The Meteora,
it's quite a cool vibe.
I would say is cool, but like in a sense with PRS, I'm going to use him as an example. I mean, he could have just stayed on the, you know, Custom 24 and just did that.
Yeah.
But he's been constantly, you know, innovating, you know, doing the 513 and then the 508 or the 503. And then he had the Johnny Highland signature with the humbucker and the, you know, the rails in the middle. And then he also had Brent Mason signature. So he's now the John Mayer. So there's constant.
There's always something new with PRS, but like the impression I always get with PRS is that there's always something new and improved. You know, like every trade show, there's something that's better than the last thing that you had, which is a different thing to what, you know, Fender and Gibson typically do, where it's more about their heritage, whereas PRS's heritage only goes to 1985. So his thing is, the only thing that really is heritage is Custom 24. You know, so then you've got to kind of push the envelope. Whereas I would argue that guitar players, they say they want innovation and all of this, but they're completely disingenuous on that one, because every time a company does that, mostly the guitar community, if it's a major company, I'm not talking about like the Strandbergs and the guys making like innovative stuff for more progressive musicians. More traditional like blues rockers and rock musicians and pop musicians, you know, the average, the church players, all of these guys, when those guys say, oh, we want innovation, I don't think they do.
I was going to speak to that point as well.
They want innovation on pedals, especially like church musicians. They want
more pedals.
More
I
pedals.
was one of those.
More the edge. I want more delays, more eighth note triplets. You know? I
want triplets.
Yes.
3 cascading delay pedals synced to a MIDI foot switch.
Goodness.
And it needs to sound like a synth. You know, but
I want to play one note and be able to play the whole song.
That's it.
You know, it's like.
And but yeah, I think that's kind of where I'm. You know, my different you know, like it's guitar that I feel was built in the 60s. There's been so much progress, you know, that why not use it? You know, it's great to have, you know, a Dodge, you know, from the 60s that's still in mint condition. And it's, I mean, I'd obviously, you know, I'd also, you know, take what's the car from Gone in 60 Seconds?
The Shelby GT500.
Yeah, I mean, for sure.
Mustang.
Yeah, give me that. Eleanor. So, I mean, I mean, give me Eleanor any day of the week. But I'll also, you know, I understand where Tesla is.
Out of context.
No, but I mean, like, when it comes to guitars.
Did you hear that, Michelle? He'll take Eleanor of you.
Eleanor. And, but it's the same thing for me with guitars. Is yes, the 60s perfect reissue Gibson is great. But like...
No, it's the 50s one that's the best.
Oh, yeah, the 50s one, even further back, you know. But my personal opinion is like, the guitar has developed so much, like, through the years. Like, why not...
Well, I will counter that, and I will say that it's to me remarkable that 2 guitar manufacturers got it so right almost on the first try of solid body guitars. Like the Les Paul was the first solid body that Gibson made, and the Telecaster slash broadcaster was the first solid body that Fender attempted to make. And the Les Paul was actually a response to the Telecaster. At the first attempt, they're pretty bloody good. Like I in 2022 want to play those two guitars because I think they're just so versatile. You can play so many different things with them. You know, to me,
but here's my question, and this is probably a topic for another day as well. Is it really because they got it so perfect on that go, or is it just because the heritage and the names behind those brands like carry those weight? Because I mean,
that's part of it. It's definitely part of it.
I think it's that did get it right, because I mean those sounds is we're
still chasing those sounds now.
After those sounds, you know what I mean?
70 years later, I mean, it is actually literally.
You want the telly sound, you know, and you want the.
No, I mean, I get it completely. I'm just going off like my own thoughts here. Is it really the sound, you know, or
is it the image? Is that where you?
Is it kind of that like image that you had, like you grew up listening to Gary Moore, hence you need there's nothing better than a Les Paul.
But he played Hamer, he played a lot of guitars.
Yeah, but I mean, if I think Gary Moore, I think
But then you can also think, you know, Red Strats as well with Gary Moore. It's like I think that's the thing is like we lock in our mind the image of a musician at a certain point in time, but most musicians are like us. They try lots of different things. It's just later on in the career when it comes to, you know, money-making signature guitar, maybe they play that guitar more than anything else.
Speaking of that point, brings you back to the Rev story we spoke about last week. It's Chris Buck saying he wants his own sound, hence going for
Yamaha Rev Star.
Yeah.
I want to try one, by the way. I think we're getting them next week. I'm actually super keen to give them a try. So maybe I'll bring one on.
Because this episode's coming
out. That's true. So maybe I'll bring one along for Guitar of the Week if we have it in time. But yeah, I get where you're coming from. I mean, again, you're a more progressive musician. I don't really think of myself as like a blues rocker or something, even though that's what I play when we do videos, because it's kind of. But it's
like I mean, I play in a blues band any day of the week. Like if you tell me just play that, I'd love to. But
I was the crazy effects guy. You can point to that because like using guitar synths and all sorts of stuff. And I stopped doing that because, you know, as I got older, I just wanted to hear more of the guitar, to, you know, play a little bit more and have less reliance on effects and things like that. But yeah, to me, I've never aspired to have the guitars that I have now. I've never said, I want a Les Paul. I've never wanted a Les Paul. Playing a really good one is what convinced me. It wasn't about like I want this. The same with the Telecaster thing, because I've always tended to favor G&Ls, actually, funny enough, over Fenders, because I tended to want slightly higher output pickups, tended to want, again, a bigger neck and, you know, those kind of things. So that's what I could get there. But again, I've now played one that's converted me, but it wasn't the thing that I was chasing, you know. I've actually never owned an actual Fender Strat. Like, I never have, you know, with a Fender headstock. You know, I've had other things that do Strat things. And yeah, so it's just because that's not what I chase. I don't chase the Strat thing, you know. Like the Strat thing isn't my vibe. Like I dig the sounds and I like playing one, but I don't really like owning one, because then I'll find I'll go to the bridge pickup and be like, oh.
And it's not.
You know? So it depends, but I think to circle back to the Gibson thing, I think Gibson are the guys that people think of as the bad guys in the industry right now. And from dealing with them on a very regular basis, they're really nice. Like the current guys are really nice. They've been super accommodating to little old South Africa. They want to help. They're making great guitars right now. And I think to me, what it is isn't so much that you don't see Gibsons on stage. It's the way Gibson versus Fender set their ranges. Because, you know, Fender, you get Mexican guitars that are cheaper that say Fender. Whereas Gibson, if it says Gibson, it's made in America and it has the nitrocellulose lacquer finish, which is just inherently more expensive to do. So, I mean, you do get entry-level Gibson Les Pauls. You can get Les Paul Special or Les Paul Tribute. That's about $1,000, $1,300. But
that's not the Gibson that someone would want.
Yeah, exactly. You know, somebody wants a Les Paul Standard, which is $2,700. So that's where people are using that in their mind and going, okay, Les Paul Standard, they're expensive guitars. Meanwhile, 20 years ago, Les Paul Standard was more than $3,000. So relatively speaking, they're much cheaper now than they pretty much ever have been. You know, the new ownership actually lowered the price by $500 when they started. So I don't know. I think it's just, to me, it's a misunderstanding of the range of guitars, because like, the fact that you can play a Mexican Fender that says Fender, you have to play an Epiphone. If you in that price bracket with a Gibson, it's not a Gibson, it's an Epiphone. And Epiphone are where Gibson are doing the innovations. They're doing the Prophecy series with the Fishman Fluence pickups and, you know, flatter fingerboard radiuses and bigger frets and stuff. That's kind of where they're doing it. So I can see why they would do it, because if you want to protect the heritage, which of the brand heritage, that's I just went so like down a blind alley there by mistake. Apologies. It's just, if you want to protect that sort of legacy of the brand, maybe you do keep it to all the vintage stuff being called Gibson, and maybe you do the innovative stuff in Epiphone. I don't know. I just feel like Gibson are the popular company to bag on, and second is PRS. So that's where people are at, like, Gibsons are terrible. It's like, well, what have you played any recently? I mean, this is a funny thing to me. People see brand names as fixed at a point in history. It's like, they'll say something like, all Alphas are unreliable crap cars, and they're thinking about the car they drove 20 years ago. Meanwhile, the current current Alpha is made in the same factory as Fiats and in some cases Maseratis. So it's like different company, different people. Gibson is not fixed in time and space of like, this is the like snapshot in history of what they are. These things are always fluid and moving. At one point, maybe they go down, maybe they go up, maybe Fender goes down, maybe like a player we're not even thinking of, like a brand we're not even thinking of, does what PRS has done in the last 20 years and just suddenly rises in the public consciousness, and that's the it brand. We don't know.
Well, I think that, the same thing as with Chris Buck and with the Revstar. I honestly think due to him being a Revstar player,
that's going to make a big difference.
It's definitely making...
I want a Revstar because of Chris Buck.
Exactly, and I think that's kind of bringing the Yamaha range more into the spotlight. Not that Yamaha's ever made crap guitars. They've always... I think my first electric guitar that I still have is actually Yamaha. And so, that's what, like 30 years old. So, but Yamaha's only been recently being put into the spotlight because now we have famous people actually
are currently relevant. And I think that's also maybe what I've seen, criticism of people where they say like Gibson's marketing is about like older famous players. It's about guys, chasing the tones of like guys who in their 70s or 80s, Jimmy Page. And Slash is 56 now, for crying out loud. So he's pretty old now too,
Well, Joe Bonamassa is only what, like 42, 43?
no, he's also pretty old, but I don't think he's 42.
No,
I think he's 46 or something.
Yeah.
To me, that's pretty old because I'm like younger than you.
Yeah, you're 21.
no, this would bring would pay to that. But I think that's a fair criticism with the marketing. But then again, the young upcoming players like the Jared James Nicholls are, they're the Epiphone players. They're not they have a signature Epiphone. There's not a signature Jared James
Gary
Nicholls.
Clark Jr. also has Epiphone.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's maybe slightly misunderstanding where the marketing is, and maybe also Gibson misunderstanding where the marketing needs to be. Maybe they do need to make stuff in the Far East or in Mexico or something that say Gibson. I don't know. It depends on.
We're probably American.
Exactly, and is it a Gibson if it doesn't have a nitro finish? I don't know. Maybe not. It depends on what you define as that. Because Fender made that choice like 20, 30 years ago. They started making Japanese instruments, and that's an accepted thing in our mind about Fender. But if things that say, again, players are saying now, Gibson, this is what you got to do. To stay relevant, you got to have cheaper things that say Gibson. So what if Gibson do make guitars in the East that say Gibson? Odds are players are going to be like, screw this. This is like,
But that's the thing.
So
I fully agree. It's just people wanting something, because I remember, Gibson had a fantastic name, and it was just that like small era. Like, I don't know how many years was it that it was owned,
quite a long time actually, probably like 30 years.
Okay,
but
okay. That's
25 years.
It doesn't feel that long, but for like for me, it felt like there was like really a short space of time where Gibson, screwed up, and then they fixed it, but now everybody's just referring to that.
That, which is no longer the reality.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a shame because, again, you and I both found guitars we love. And, I never aspired to own a Gibson. I'll be straight up and honest about that. To me, it was never an aspirational thing. I want to grow up one day and have a Gibson. Because all the players I watched played Fender, so that's what I wanted. I wanted a Tele or a Strat or something. Then I've discovered I didn't like Strats, but,
Yeah, no.
So to me, it was the quality of the guitar. It wasn't the fact that, it's like, this is the thing, the Halo thing that I got to chase. For me, when it was like the Halo thing that I got to chase was actually when it came to a PRS. And then I ended up being a little bit disappointed with what they were doing at that time, So it depends. Now, again, I've owned a couple of newer ones. They're freaking fantastic. Yep. It's just golden age of gear. Everything is cool. Like it's it's something that I think is always going to be topical with players of like, which company is the best? Because people are brand loyal. When people about games consoles will fight each other to the death on the internet about their PlayStation versus their Xbox, or people with phones will be like, I'm a Samsung pleb and there's somebody else there who's the iPhone master race or whatever, So it's people are tribal when it comes to brands, and they're, and rightly so. You want to invest in the brand. But also remember, with any brand that you're being tribal about and knocking another brand, you're basically supporting a large mega corporation company that probably doesn't know you exist on some level. And I'm not saying that specifically for guitars. I mean, just for anything.
Your opinion doesn't matter.
Probably not, but... But social media makes us all think that it does. And I mean, we're just putting ourselves out there in that sense as well. But I just think defending brands, the brand doesn't know that you're doing it. They they don't know that you're loyal to whatever you're loyal to. It's have a brain, make your own decisions, go try some things, go play some things.
Signature artists aren't always just loyal as well.
They also play multiple things. I mean, you're holding a John Mayer guitar, but he still pulls out Fender Strats for certain songs. He still pulls out a 335 for a couple of the blues licks. He still pulls out a PRS Modern Eagle for like Grateful Dead stuff. It's like he's playing different stuff, because like we all play different things. If you're so brand loyal that you only play one brand, well, you're missing out. Honestly, you're like
100%.
You're really not getting the...
Especially in the guitar, the gear, thing. I mean, it's like...
Imagine you were so loyal that you only did one brand and their pedals happened to suck, but their amps and guitars were cool or something. And you just be like, oh, okay, well, where am I at? I'm just never going to get the best out of my gear because I'm brand loyal. That's,
no, 100%.
It's a little bit crazy, So, I don't know. I think play everything. Play as much stuff as you can. Try everything. Be brand loyal. I mean, I'm wearing a Fender shirt. You're wearing a Gibson hat. You're wearing a Feeler shirt.
Do you have any Feeler shoes?
No, don't.
You're not brand loyal.
I'm not brand loyal at all. No, not at all.
You're not. But I mean, just enjoy the stuff. Why do we always have to fight about everything on the internet? Would it be nice if we could just be friends and play guitar?
Can't we just all get along? But again, on that topic, isn't it funny that you'd always spot the guitarist at your gig?
Oh, yeah.
It's the guy standing in the back cross-arm looking, not enjoying the music.
I hate the tone.
But standing there judging your tone.
Yeah.
Can't we just all get along, bro? Yes, my playing's rubbish. Enjoy the music,
Yeah, it's crazy, but I mean, that's just how people's mentality are at this day and age. Everyone's competitive. Everyone wants to be better than the next. Everyone wants to be part of something that's bigger than themselves. That's why they're like so brand loyal, because they want to be in this family. Can't we just be a family of musicians?
Nobody will ever be Guthrie Govan. Just deal with it and let's just get along.
And on that note, on that bombshell, this has been the longest podcast in the world.
Not that long. I think it's an hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah, but I think that's a good place to stop it. And of course, we've probably upset people again, because that's the nature of doing a podcast.
That's what we do. And if we didn't upset you...
It's just opinions, that's all.
It's just opinions.
Honest opinions.
And if we didn't upset you, just watch next week's episode. Then
you'll probably find something. But hey, we really appreciate you guys watching. Do give the channel a like and a subscribe, and put a comment down below. Let us know if you agree with us or disagree. Most likely disagree, I feel, but I don't know. Yeah. Let's see. Are you brave enough?
Yeah, comment. And then also check out Rode products. They're awesome.
Yeah, thank you to Rode South Africa for the microphones, the boom arms, the Rodecaster Pro, all the cool stuff that makes everything sound cool, hopefully.
Definitely. And I'm pretty sure obviously all of this will also be available through Marshall Music's online store. Links will be in the description to go check it out.
And of course, thanks to them for some of the bits of the gear of the week, and Mark seems to want to take it home.
We'll let you know how it goes next week.
No. We'll give you an update next
Just
week.
swipe them, laat hy brand, Mark. Just swipe.
Nee.
Okay, well, thanks, guys. We'll be seeing you on the next one. Have a good one. Cheers.